Wait, so how are we going to start this one? And welcome to Triple Threat. We are the all-talk, no-music show on the internet where we talk about the Beatles, the Who, the Pink Floyd, and other stuff that we like. And we are your three hosts for this evening. My name is Tom Rutin, and joining me are the usual gang. Garrett Hicks.
We're just having a private dance party over here.
Oh
no
yeah,
need to worry about it. Hi, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Becca.
And as you can probably see, we're going to have a lot of fun with this episode because our topic today is the new Pink Floyd album. Never thought we'd actually hear those words again.
Oh, it feels so good. I feel like such a heel now because on the Division Bell episode, I clearly say I don't think there's going to be another one.
We all said that, but and we'll get to a few things about that. But this is the 15th and final studio album. We can finally say that again because we said it already in the Division Bell episode. This is the final album from Pink Floyd. It was released on the 10th of November, 2014. It was announced, and thanks to Garrett, I'll never forget this date. It was announced on July 5th from Miss Polly Samson on Twitter.
It was my birthday!
Who tweeted out, quote, "By the way, Pink Floyd album out in October is called The Endless River. Based on 1994 sessions, is Rick Wright's swansong and very moving." By the way, what is that supposed to mean?
It's like, oh, you know, side note, one of the biggest bands of all time is making another release. But, you know.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
Right. So.
Just what you should know.
Yeah. Right. The new
Casually flips everyone's world upside down.
Yeah, it totally did because the news came out and there was mass hysteria because we had just, especially since we had just done the episode about the Division Bell probably a month prior to that. It was up, and then this news dropped, and then everything kind of turned upside down.
Yeah.
My initial, I will say this, my initial impressions when the news hit, I greeted with a very, very half-hearted hello because we had just done the Division Bell, we got so emotional about it, we were so passionate about it, and then the news dropped, by the way, and I kind of went, huh.
Alright.
Honest to God, that was my reaction when the news first dropped. I wasn't completely thrilled, and then it took me about maybe a couple days. Then I got excited again, and then we got the we also got the title, "The Endless River," which we should say right now comes from a lyric in High Hopes, and so automatically that made me kind of think, oh, this is kind of neat because I don't remember the Floyd ever recycling a title for anything.
Well, The Endless River in itself is a reference to their second single, See Emily Play, the last line of which is, float on a river forever and ever. So yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's
always nice to be green and recycle for the environment.
Yeah, see, it goes all the way back to the beginning, because that was a Sid song.
So, obviously, we're going to talk about the album. We're going to go through the individual tracks for each one. But before we get to that, I kind of want to just bring up really quickly when we actually got the track listing and we got the titles for the songs. And the titles, to me, were very interesting because whenever you see a new title for something, you automatically think in your mind, what could this possibly be? And the two ones that came to mind immediately were Talkin' Hawkin' and Autumn of '68.
I saw Autumn 68 and I almost punched a wall because I was like, no. my emotions. No.
Yes, it's a
And it was correct. That assumption was very correct.
Yeah, because it's a very obvious reference to Rick Wright's Summer '68 from Adam Hart Mother.
Right. So.
No. Don't do that.
But it was kind of cool to see the track listing, and then at the same time that we got the track listing, and this will lead to a quick conversation, we also got the cover of the album. The cover was revealed, and I was surprised, I will admit, I was surprised that it wasn't a Storm Thorgerson cover.
I mean, Storm Thorgerson kind of died.
Well, he has made a lot of images.
That's true.
No, this is actually by an 18-year-old Egyptian, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Ahmed Ahmad Eldon. So my apologies to our Egyptian listeners out there.
I hope that was done right, because he deserves it. Props to that kid. I love this cover art.
Oh, yeah.
Calling him a kid, he's friggin' my age. Oh my god. This kid made a Pink Floyd album cover, and here I am sitting on my butt in front of a computer. Like,
yeah. I was
inspired and disheartening simultaneously, but the art is great.
Yeah.
Such a great image.
I was definitely, when I saw this, I was like, he was 18. I'm 21. What have I done with my life? But yeah, I love this cover so much, and I don't care what the Louder Than Words video shows. To me, it's Rick on the cover.
That's exactly what I thought. Like, it's very fitting that would be the cover of an album that's a tribute to Rick, with the boats and everything, and
exactly
stuff, because...
It is kind of funny to see that, because one thought that I had about why they chose that cover was most of this album was either reworked or recorded on David's houseboat, the Astoria, and now we have Rick on a boat because he's sailing along right with them.
Yeah.
So there's two images that the boat could really...
Yeah. So we got the track listing and we got the cover, and it would have been nice, and this is just me talking, it would have been nice because when you get the booklet, there's a nice dedication to Storm because he had just passed away the year before. It would have been nice if maybe they had included one of his images like inside the booklet as a little tribute to him.
Well, they kind of do with the postcard that has the two Division Bell faces.
I mean, I'm saying maybe something that we haven't really seen yet.
Okay.
Just something that would have kind of go, oh, that's nice. At least he's represented with an image as an artist. So we had the track listing, we had the cover, and then literally anything that came out about the album, rumors and facts spread out like wildfire.
Yeah, I saw a fake track listing with very Floydy names, but they just weren't real. It looked legit, but it wasn't.
And there were people on YouTube already making videos claiming I have the album already, and it was just a bunch of just like relaxing ambient music, which is nice but very, very misleading. And literally I've said this before, I was so tired of seeing the news about this because it made every little detail that came up went online. Whenever somebody, whether it was David or Nick, would come out and they would say a fact about this album or any of the songs, every medium picked up on it. The New York Times,
the presses!
The New York Times, Rolling Stone, literally everything. I mean, David could have just as much as said, well, while we were mixing this song, I picked my nose. I mean, seriously! So...
Alright, cool.
Yeah, so much was coming out about this album before the album even dropped, and I just said, okay, enough already. I just want to get the damn album, put it on, and make my own opinion about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was one of the most confusing releases I probably have ever dealt with in my life.
Oh, but wasn't it just the best?
We are going to get into that, because we're going to go track by track.
Oh, we will.
And when I listened to it, I came out of it, my first listen, I came out of it very, very happy.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that.
Well, real quick, can we talk about... you already talked about when you heard the news for the first time that there was going to be another one. We haven't said anything about it yet.
All right, go right ahead.
Sure.
I guess.
Most of my reaction I've documented on my podcast, The Amazing Journey, so you can check it out there. We'll leave a link for you and stuff. I was excited. I was scared. I was just pumped as all hell because when I saw the headline on my Facebook newsfeed, my heart dropped into my toes, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's happening!" And like one of the first things I did right after that was I think I texted or called both of you guys. I know I called Becca because
yes, you did.
I was the one who told you about it, right?
Oh yeah.
And Tom, I think you'd already heard about it when I called you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the news had already dropped for me.
Yeah, I could barely function for the next few days knowing that holy shit, there's gonna be a new Pink Floyd album.
It was hard to talk to you on the phone. I'll grant you that.
Yeah, I was gushing hardcore.
Well, let's go to Becca. News dropped. How did you feel?
Well, immediately it kind of didn't hit. I was like, oh, huh.
Yeah, same here.
Nice. Nice. And then, like, it didn't take a few days for me, though. It took, like, a few hours, and I was like, oh. And then I looked at Polly's tweet, and I saw, like, by the way, it's, like, gonna be Rick's swansong, and me being the big, fat, stupid nerd I am, liking the least liked member of Pink Floyd, just freak out beyond anything. I'm like, yes, yes, my time to shine. And I was so ready. Even when I found out that it was going to be like mostly instrumental, I was like, yes, but like good instrumental. This is not going to be boring to me. The keyboards are probably going to be highlighted in a very good way. And they were. Spoilers. It took a few hours for me to get really jazzed and remain exactly that jazzed for months and months.
I felt a similar way when it was later announced that it was going to be entirely instrumentals except for one track. My first reaction was, oh, neat, but I was a little disappointed because I like Floyd's lyrics very much.
Yeah.
I was a little skeptical, not gonna lie. I was like, oh, well, I'm still excited, but maybe it might suck a little.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing for a lot of people who were coming into this album expecting it to be the next Dark Side of the Moon sort of thing. They were expecting Roger Waters to be on it, which he clearly said.
I don't understand why people even thought that.
Well,
like,
it's probably that a lot of people don't know the history of the band. They don't know that Roger isn't a part of it, that he wasn't the driving force of the band anymore.
Well, you are wrong.
But, you know, being geeks and nerds and things, I was really skeptical about the no lyrics thing because I really love the lyrics from Momentary Lapse of Reason and from Division Bell. And to know that there's only one, it was like, oh, okay, I guess Anthony Moore is kind of out of it now, and Polly is maybe mostly out of it, but then she wrote Louder Than Words.
Mm-hmm. Which, that actually leads me to my next point, because before the album was even dropped, we got the single Louder Than Words, which was actually released on my birthday, October 14th.
That is weird.
So, the single came out, it was a great song, I played it like...
What are you gonna do on my birthday?
When Louder Than Words came out, it was a great song. I played it like crazy. I kept singing it in my head over and over. But every time I heard it, I was a little bit disappointed. Not because of the song, because I've already heard the song with lyrics now, and so now everything else is instrumentals. I mean, I said I'm sure I'll like it because I'm a Floyd fan. But every time I heard Louder Than Words, it was so great. I was like, yes, I hope the whole album is like this. Oh no, it's not.
Yeah, I didn't listen to Louder Than Words until I got the album. I'd only heard like 5 words of it because it was on the EPK that they released. I managed to avoid it for the month or so. Yeah, it was a month.
Oh, I didn't. I went right for it.
I wasn't really trying to avoid it, but I wasn't going to go out of my way and be like, I have to hear this right now. So, like, I didn't listen to it online as soon as it dropped. But then it was on my local classic rock station in the car when I was home for a weekend. And it was this beautiful day. Like, the sky was just clear blue, not a cloud, and it was pretty warm. And we're just driving, and that just was on, and the chorus just seemed so triumphant. And it's just one of those moments where it just kind of hits you in the face, like, wow, this is a thing that's happening. There's a Pink Floyd album being released in our lifetime.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing about it for me. You know, this band that I have loved so much for the last, 4 years, a little over 4 years now. You know, I have all of their albums and I know like all of the lyrics and everything. And I've branched into their solo work and everything. I've just eaten up the world of Pink Floyd. And, you know, I thought it was over when I was not even 1 year old. But then to see this thing when I'm a mature man, I guess. I don't know, maybe not mature. But to have this come out at such a formative year in my life. It came out and I'm 21. Just to see this happening here and now is just so special, and unboxing it was it was a highlight of my life.
Yeah, I agree with the whole having this album come out at such a formative time in your life. Like, this is my first semester of college. It's a huge transition. And it was so weird and amazing and moving. I picked this up from a music store by my school. And it was just so weird to sit in my bed in my little dorm room and be so afraid and having this anxiety and this transition and going through a rough time and being able to turn not to something old that I've always loved and relied on, but a return of a familiar voice, like familiar but new. And it was a cool thing to have in college and thinking, you know, like, this is new, but you still have things with you. Like, it's hard to put into words. I'm really glad this came out when it did. As we were saying, it's just so weird to have a new Pink Floyd album. I never thought I would ever be able to sit in a car with my mom and turn on the radio and be like, here's the newest single from Pink Floyd. Like, it's something I dreamed about and wondered about when I was a little kid and first listening to all these bands from way back, just thinking, wow, what's it like to sit there and hear new releases from, you know, X, Y, and Z bands, and there I am listening to the new Pink Floyd song. Like,
yeah, it is something special to share that experience that my grandparents listened to the new Pink Floyd album when it came out. My step-grandmother, she very vividly remembers getting Wish You Were Here on vinyl. And then for me to be able to share this experience sort of thing with her. She's not a huge Floyd fan. I doubt she has this album, but to be able to say that I bought the new Pink Floyd album the day it came out, like so many other people have in the world, is just, oh.
I didn't buy it on release date. I had ordered it online and it didn't get to my house till I think like 4 days later.
Well, you gave it to your dad.
Well, yeah, that's why. It didn't even get there until the day of my dad's birthday. I quickly wrapped it up. Here you go.
Yeah, it was a present.
I know.
That makes...
I know,
You have an excuse.
Yes, so yeah, I mean, but also just the people who run the mail are dumb. But that is exactly why I was so excited, because when I actually stepped back from when I was being dumb and being really, you know, hardcore critical about it, when I stepped back and said, hey, it's new music. Any new music from anybody that I'm familiar with, I welcome with open arms. I mean, it's not fair to me to criticize it because I haven't heard it yet. You know, I mean, Tom Petty had released an album over the summer, but so did Cat Stevens and Weird Al Yankovic. All these people that I like very much were coming out with new music. And so when Pink Floyd announced that too, I thought to myself, well, why should I think any less of this than I did for all the other artists? So anything that's new, as fans, we would still like to listen to. So that made me get more excited about this release. And what also, kind of getting back to your point about how it's such a big deal about it being released at this time, not only has the public been aware for 20 years that Division Bell marks a pretty good end to the Floyd. Earlier this year, we had gotten the Division Bell 20th anniversary set, which in a way was sort of done as a way to commemorate the last album, while this album was still being made. So when the news of this dropped right after the box set came out, it was very kind of very surprising, because I
feel like that did make the surprise more abrupt by like reissuing an old, like the latest thing, but still an old thing. Like, yeah, this is the last thing we did, so let's make it even better, but you're not getting anything else. This is the newest you get.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Here's the Endless River.
Yeah, and
in the words of the tweet, by the way.
Yeah, that's exactly why the set didn't come with anything new.
Yeah, I think we probably talked about this on the Division Bell podcast, that, you know, we would say, you know, I wish we'd gotten like some demos of something. I don't know, some jams.
Yeah, we just talked about that. We just kind of mentioned that we wouldn't buy the set because nothing new came with it.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was a cash cow. They were just doing it to get money. But some people bought it because they're idiots. But
they're completists.
They're completists, fine, better word. But so when this album dropped, you know, my initial thought was, you know, why didn't they include this in the box set? It would have been interesting, and maybe I'll bring this up once we go through the songs, how this album would have worked had they included it in the Division Bell sets. But we'll get to that. So what do you say that we get to the album?
Let's.
Well, the album, as it was described, it's 4 sides, and it is on vinyl, so it literally is on 4 sides. 4 sides of these songs. So we're going to go track by track, and we're going to start, very appropriately, with the first one. The first track is called Things Left Unsaid. And I just want to read something really quickly, because there are actually words in this song, but they're not lyrics. It says, "We certainly are unspoken and understanding, but there's a lot of things unsaid as well. We shout and argue and fight and work it on out." Now, a lot of people have been saying, and I haven't read any confirmation about this, but this is Nick saying it from Things Left Unsaid at the very, very beginning. Turn your volume up and you'll hear those words spoken.
That's not Nick saying it. Rick says the first ones about things unsaid.
Because that's from the interviews on the Pompeii DVD, I'm pretty sure.
I think the first sentence is from Pompeii, and the second one is from
another interview. There are a lot of things unsaid as well. Like, that's from, I distinctly remember that from Pompeii, I'm fairly certain.
Okay.
Well, I'll have to go back and watch that and pay more attention.
Yeah, I know at least half of it is from Pompeii, and then the second one about we fight and shout and argue and everything, that's from, I think, from Pompeii as well, and that's David. And then Nick says the third line, which is, "The sum is greater than the parts." I think all of that is taken from the Pompeii interviews.
I'm very sure it is, because they all sound familiar. I definitely knew the first sentence was Rick, because I just remember sitting down with the new Pink Floyd album and just thinking, all right, I'm ready for a little bit of disappointment. And then you're sitting there, finally having, you know how you, like, in Wish You Were Here, like, there's the part in a Have a Cigar where it sounds like the speakers break, like, it just does that.
Yeah, and then
listening to that for the first time and being like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I was listening to it on a really old Walkman, so I'm thinking, is this thing still working? Like, I hit the play button. I'm like, does this Walkman still even work? And then I just heard, like, ethereal noises start creeping in, and it's quiet in the beginning, and I'm like, wait, it's happening. They're doing the thing. And then I hear the talking, and I'm like, this is doing the thing.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd's doing the thing that they do, and I got to hear it for the first time.
And you hear the little blip, blip, blip,
that everybody else knew, so it wasn't a surprise.
Exactly. You hear the little.
That was really exciting to hear the first track creep in.
Yeah, the little blippy noises, and then the sort of washing of the keyboard pad over it, and then oh my gosh, they're talking.
I lost my mind.
It was very cool to hear, and I want to just really quickly, because I do have to say, when Becca, you were talking about being a little bit disappointed, you know, I went into this album with absolutely no bias at all. I was kind of just went in with a blank mind and said, let me just form my own thoughts. And I will say up front, and I will make this point later, is that in my opinion, some of the songs build up to something that doesn't ultimately happen, in my opinion. It's like, and someone used this example on the internet, and I thought it was a perfect analogy. It's like someone put a plate of food right in front of you, and you got your fork and knife, and Rye's about to dig in, they took it away.
Are you saying this about certain songs?
Certain songs on this album, for me, build to something that doesn't like a climax that doesn't ultimately happen.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
So I want to just get that out of the way, because you should know that I'm not going to praise absolutely everything on this album. Okay. So, but getting back to things left unsaid, I will say something good about it. It has a very nice pad of synth to open the album. Maybe could have worked as an opener on Division Bell.
Yeah.
Because it also talks about things left unsaid, and the whole point of the album is communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What I think it's really cool, at Rick's lines, which were, there's certainly unspoken understandings, but a lot of things unsaid as well. He's saying something redundant, that they don't have to speak, but they don't have to speak.
They don't have to speak, but they don't speak.
Yeah. It's something, you know, it's sort of a bit of a Pink Floyd humor thing in that. And also, it really says something about how they make their music, is that a lot of it, especially with this album, is very instinctive. They know each other so well that they're able to jam off a riff that one of them makes, and then eventually develop that into a song fairly quickly. That was the whole point of this album. That's where a lot of their songs have come from, is just aimless jams that eventually coalesce into a song.
Right. So we should say right off the bat that Rick is playing on all of the tracks except for Calling and Anacina. Mm-hmm. Those are the only two tracks that Rick does not play on, so those would make me think that those are either new tracks or they were tracks back in 93 or 4 that David and Nick just worked on by themselves. We don't know, because I have to say one thing that is kind of disappointing is that David and Nick haven't said a whole lot about this album. Most of the things that have been said online that I found are kind of repeats of what they've told somebody else.
Yeah. It's hard to tell on this album which session things came from. Unless you know, you can't tell. Right. Which I think is good. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a testament to their recording equipment and remastering equipment, that's for damn sure. And also, it makes it very timeless in that there are a lot of new elements being played with a lot of old stuff. Like, everything Rick plays is from 93, except for a couple of things, which we'll get to eventually. Mm-hmm. And then you add all this new stuff in addition to it, and you can't tell the difference between it. That's how good it is.
It sounds so clear.
Yeah.
It sounds really good, yeah.
And it all meshes together so perfectly as music itself. That's...
Yes.
Okay. Things Left Unsaid is an excellent song.
It's a great opener.
I also just wanted to say real quick, it reminds me a lot of the songs from a couple of solo albums, such as Richard Wright's solo album, Broken China. It sounds a lot like Breaking Water to me, you know?
Yeah, reminiscent of that.
And also on Roger Waters' 92 solo album. Roger Waters even has a little bit of influence, I feel, on this album. It sounds kind of like the opening of his album Muse to Death, and the opener is called The Ballad of Bill Hubbard, which is, very atmospheric in itself to begin with a great floaty guitar part from Jeff Beck over some cool synths and everything. It sounds a lot like that. I really like it a lot.
Well, a sparse synth opening is nothing new to them.
That's true.
They've done it with Signs of Life, and they followed it with Cluster 1. So it was a very nice familiarity of this track when you heard it. Mm. And at the adding of the words, and it was something familiar and something new, air quotes, because they're old interviews at the same time.
That's something very important that Things Left Unsaid had to do. This one and the following one, It's What We Do, they have this enormous task of making you recognize that you are listening to Pink Floyd now.
Mm-hmm. And it's been 20 years, so they have to make it a little bit of a familiar sound.
Yeah. Because if you don't buy it in these first 2 tracks, then you're not going to buy it in the rest of the album.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on to track 2, called It's What We Do. This is the first song on the album that features just the 3 members. David, Nick, and Rick are on this track. This, to me, and I would probably gonna say, this could have been Shine On Part 10. Because it is in 6... Yeah. Because not only is it in 6/8, Rick is playing almost the exact same synth sound that he played on parts 1, 2, whatever, and David is soloing over it as well. This, to me, could have been Shine On had it been extended.
Yeah, I like that analogy. I hadn't thought of that, actually.
Go ahead.
I can agree, because like the part that I keep thinking of whenever I see the title, you know how you'll usually have a part that's like playing over in your head when you're thinking about the title.
Sure.
The one that just comes to mind is like the guitar solo, which was in one of those 30-second samples that Pink Floyd would put up on their Facebook page or on their website every couple of days before the album.
Yeah.
And I could see that fitting with Shine On. Like, it seems very in a similar vein to that, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And when I first listened to It's What We Do, I was really struck by, wow, there's a bit of a chord progression here that sounds a lot like Welcome to the Machine. Did y'all notice that?
I don't think, no, I didn't notice that. I mean, I was too busy wrapped up in the instrumentation that it sounded much more like Shine On, in my opinion.
Right, and I'll give you that. There's a lot of Shine On to it, like you said, the time signature, and there's the beautiful French horn sounding synth that Rick does to begin it, just like in the beginning of Shine On, and it's just, I
have to wonder if they were jamming on Shine On and it grew into that.
It might have.
Again, we don't know. They're not saying anything about this album.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Which is I feel that's okay. It loses something when there's not enough mystery.
Mm-hmm. Feels like they'll wait a little bit, kind of like waiting a few years for your child to grow up before telling them the truth about good old Saint Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot one more thing. We mentioned the guitar soloing on this, and it sounds a lot like Maroon to me. Anyone else say that?
Well, because David is back on his Fender Strats for this tune, so it already has a way familiar sound. So,
and I think he's using the whammy pedal again.
Mm-hmm. I did think of that, but I didn't remember that.
It just sounds so David Gilmour. Like, it's this track that also helps seal the deal. Like, hey, it's Pink Floyd doing a thing. We're shouting out all these names of different prior Pink Floyd songs, and it's like, it's Pink Floyd. It's gonna sound like Pink Floyd.
Exactly.
It's what they do. That's why the song is probably called that.
Yeah.
I just pieced that together now. Wow.
Yeah, I love the title because it's something that David is always saying. He never refers to his career. He never calls it making music or anything. He's always calling it this thing we do. It really sounds like this is our calling in life, and this is what we give to you. Mm-hmm. I love it.
I was very happy with It's What We Do when I first heard it.
Yeah. Plus that synth solo at the end gets me so... Oh, I love it. I'm
going to be making some noises this podcast. It's going to be a real good time.
We move on to the end of side 1 called Ebb and Flow. Not a bad way to end the first side, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love the combination of the electric piano and the EBow. The combination. There's just something about the combination of those two instruments that just makes this track really, just really cool.
Yeah, the electric piano sounds like a vibraphone. I love it. Which, if y'all don't know what a vibraphone is, listeners, it's kind of like a xylophone, but instead of wood, the the thingies that you hit are made of metal, and there's a pedal on it that keeps them vibrating if you press on it. It's kind of like if you play piano, the right pedal. Oh gosh, I'm terrible.
You mean the sustain?
Yeah, the sustain pedal. Thank you.
That's the right pedal. That's the right pedal.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm getting it, you guys. Also, I don't know if this is me just overanalyzing it, but I kind of feel like the title Ebb and Flow stems from EBow guitar.
EBOW.
Yeah, I just feel like it could be.
Never thought of that.
And in case y'all have forgotten...
That's a bit of a stretch.
A little bit, yeah. In case y'all have forgotten from our Divisionville episode, an EBow is a magnetic device that you hold up to the strings of guitar and it'll vibrate constantly. So you can make some really interesting, cool sounds with it. And that's the main instrument on Ebb and Flow.
Mm-hmm. And also, I have here in my notes, imagine this, and, you know, Floyd's not touring from this album anytime soon. They haven't said anything about it.
They said they won't.
Okay, well, there you go.
Because David Gilmour is releasing a solo album next year, and he's going to be touring that.
Yeah. Maybe if we're lucky, he'll play one or two songs from this, but I really doubt it.
I was just going to say that. Imagine Gilmour and his touring band. They open the show with the first 3 songs from this album as the show opener, back to back, and then right when he finishes Ebb and Flow, he goes and do his usual routine of songs.
Maybe.
Not, in my opinion, not a bad way to open a concert.
I would love it. We would totally go to that concert.
Oh, I mean, we're going anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Opening with Things Left Unsaid would probably make several people cry. And by several people, I mean me, because I'm weak. But like, there's definitely somebody else. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't see how they would really tour material that was largely structured around being a tribute to Rick without Rick, unless they did some sort of recent Who Quadrophenia tour thing where they just have like a video screen. But like, I don't know if they're about that.
Yeah.
It is Floyd. They are funny about very overblown tributes like that, like nice little subtle things like this.
Like
usually more their forte.
Yeah, kind of like how Wish You Were Here is unofficially a tribute album to Sid.
Doesn't have pictures of Sid's face slapped all over it and go, "Hey, this is for you, man."
Yeah, we have thoughts on side 1.
It's a good side, not a bad side to open.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, this is the side that proves to you, hey, we're Pink Floyd and we're back.
It's great.
Yeah.
So then we'll get to side 2, which opens with a song called Some, which is a great side opener. The band is really rocking on this track for the first time so far on this album. There's so much going on, you know. Nick's drums are great. He's doing fills all over the place in between guitar lines.
Yeah.
There's a speaker to speaker like buzz sound effects, and it's really cool. I really liked this side opener when I heard it.
Yeah.
Speaker-to-speaker thing made me very happy, even though I can't really hear in one of my ears. I knew what they were doing. I got the gist of it. It's like, you go, Pink Floyd. Keep doing you.
Mm-hmm. Which I hadn't thought about it. Maybe that's a reference to Interstellar Overdrive from the first Pink Floyd album.
Oh.
Yeah. How the ending of it pans from speaker to speaker much more blatantly than it would in Some. I love Some. Some is so good. This is probably the darkest full song they have on this album.
Definitely. I'll agree with that.
And it's got the Farfisa organ in the beginning and the blips and bloops from Cluster 1, like the exact same thing. You know, it makes sense. This is from the same sessions. Man, a lot of this just reminds me of Sorrow from Momentary Lapse of Reason, you know?
I can see that.
The way they've distorted the guitar and the keyboards going over it with the bit. And yeah, like you said, the drum fills on it are amazing.
Any other thoughts on this one?
Skins, though.
Okay.
I had a good segue.
All right. We'll get to
doing the segue.
Yeah. Perfect segue, yeah. Let's get to Skins. I have it right here in my notes in all capital letters. Nick gets the spotlight.
Finally.
Yeah. Nick does a thing. It's like, Nick does a thing. You go, Nick.
This
go
is
you. No. I was very excited. That was exciting.
Of course. This is like the first time Nick has ever gotten a solo spot since the Wall tour when he had the drum solo in What Shall We Do Now?
Yeah.
Which admittedly is a fairly mess solo to play.
I didn't remember that.
No. I love that solo, but it's so simple.
Yeah, I didn't.
But it's Nick, though.
Yeah.
He he does the thing that works for Pink Floyd. Like
Exactly.
it's Nick.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said it. You couldn't have said it more brilliantly, because I have right here. We often say Nick is not the flashiest drummer, but he doesn't need to be.
No. You're right.
This track blew me away my first listen, and it reminded me a little bit. We're gonna say it's a lot. Reminded me of this. Reminded me of that. It reminded me a little bit of the track from Umuguma. What's it called? The Grand Vizier's Garden Party. Mostly part 2, Entertainment, because it ends with like a 50-second drum solo from Nick, which I was actually surprised that made me remind me, because that's an album that I don't go back to very much.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say it goes even farther back for me, because it sounds a lot like in the song "Saucer Full of Secrets," the middle bit called "Syncopated Pandemonium," or it's da 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 dum 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 da 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 dum 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 dum. Just a constant drumming happening all the time, and you got David playing over it with these really high and strange just guitar screeches that he's like trying to keep it within the atmosphere of Earth. And he's got the rototoms in the middle of it that are totally throwing it back right to Time from Dark Side of the Moon. I love Skid. This is like my favorite song on the album.
You realize in all of this, you're taking everything from my notes.
I probably am.
No, this is great, because, we don't really talk about these things before we get here.
Yeah.
But I seriously thought to myself, the song ends with David doing a guitar slide down, and there's a collage of sound effects on top of each other. So reminded me of On the Run, the way that track ends. David has the slide, and then there's crashes, and there's all sorts of different sounds, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
I got the On the Run vibe from the ending as well. Like the whole coming crashing and burning down around everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. This is the best ever audio spotlight for Nick Mason. And I think you'll agree.
Yep,
It's so exciting that he finally gets the spotlight.
Unless somebody uncovers some bootleg performance of him on the Wall tour. But until then, this is probably going to go down as one of, if not my favorite, Nick Mason moments.
Yeah, although I would say that his best video moment has got to be Live in Pompeii, where he gets all of One of These Days due to a technical error.
So we move on then.
Yes.
Okay, the next song is called Unsung. It's the shortest song on the album, only runs 1 minute and 8 seconds. Not much for me, simply a bridge between Skins and Anacina for me. It's just there. Had it been at the end of Skins as just one track, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't particularly like Unsung very much. It just doesn't do it for me. I remember hearing the 30-second clip from it, again, being released sporadically online before the release of the album. And a ton of the comments were saying, like, oh, it sounds like a daytime TV jingle. And in bits, it really does.
It does. I hadn't thought of that.
It's like, alright, guys, we get that you're getting older, but, like, you're not gonna switch to, like, writing theme music for, like, Ellen or The View or stuff. Like, come on, guys, really?
No.
Pink Floyd.
No.
I like Unsung. I mean, there's not much to like. That's the problem with this one, is that it's so short.
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. I like the song too. There's just not much to it.
I mean, I like that it's got the Farfisa organ again. I always like the Farfisa organ because it's so otherworldly. I really feel like this must have evolved at some point into something on Broken China.
Yes.
Because as we hear it right now, it's just like the germ of a song. It's just the seed that could really grow into something amazing. And I think it did. I just can't tell where it ended up on Broken China.
This is one of my examples I was saying earlier. Unsung, to some degree, sounds like if it had gone on for a minute longer, there could have been something to it.
Yeah.
So this one was a bit of a disappointment, but I like it, but I like it as a bridge between Skins and the song that we're going to talk about, Anacina. So let's get to Anacina. This closes side 2. This is the first track on the album that Rick does not play on. This is David's tribute to Rick. This is David's Us and Them. Because there's piano in it. All the chords are based on this one note that David plays from time and time again. Little dun 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 dun. It reminded me of the Us and Them demo, which I don't particularly like, but that's just me. Well, the demo goes on a little too long for me. But it kind of, there's that one note, there's all these different chords, but that one note stays the same. The same thing's going on in this track. There's the piano, there's the sax, the backing vocals, so remind me of Us and Them, and I loved this track when I first heard it.
Yeah, I really
like Anacina.
Anacina is...
Exactly.
Oh, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous little song. I had no idea that Rick was on it until a few minutes ago.
Same.
Sorry to bring you down.
I don't know. But, you know, I don't mind it because David said in an interview that Anasina is, I think he said Turkish for in memory. So this...
Don't do this to me!
So it could very much be a tribute.
Don't do this to me!
But I really like Anasina because as fairly, I guess, dark as side 2 is, you know, with some and unsung on it, and I guess Skins as well. This is the happy ending.
This is.
Yeah. And
it's a great side closer.
For sure. The best way I can describe it is warm. That's how it sounds to me.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel of just a nice summer day. Guys, it's fond memories of a dear friend.
Mm-hmm. And you want to keep those memories warm and alive, and that's
For
really
sure.
cool. I do have to say, the thing that really makes me feel warm about this track is the saxophone playing, which I was actually surprised to find out.
I love saxophone playing. It, like, made it for me.
Yeah.
I was so jazzed about that. It's like, hey, here's a Pink Floyd thing with the saxophone again. There are so many moments on this that are just reaffirmations of, yes, this is Pink Floyd doing a thing.
Yeah.
And it's so absurd and joyful and great. And saxophone!
It's got tenor sax and clarinet played by Gilad Atzmon. A fantastic
Not
musician.
Dick Perry. Sorry, Floyd fans.
Yeah, I was a little bit bummed that it wasn't Dick Perry because Dick Perry is a badass.
Every time there's saxophone, he plays it.
Pretty much. But you know what? I didn't mind it because this was recorded in '93.
I'm not too sure about that because one thing is that if you put the DVD in and you watch the video for this song, you actually see Gilmour in 2014 actually playing this song. So this makes me think this is probably a new song because think about it, this couldn't have been in '93 because it was a tribute to no one.
Yeah, in memoriam for what? Nobody did.
Well,
Right. So my guess is this. Yeah. My guess this
Maybe.
is probably a new song, but I totally don't mind it. It did a great job for me. I really liked it.
It's great. It's a great way to round out side 2. And by the way, y'all, side 2 is my favorite side of the album. I could listen to these, 12 minutes of it on loop. Yeah, it's so good.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we've already talked longer than the album is.
That's true.
So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we'll be right back talking about the Endless River right here on Triple Threat. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out part 1 of our review of the new Pink Floyd album, The Endless River. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments section, and tell us if you have any ideas for future shows. We'll be back soon with part 2 of our review, so in the meantime, check out the other episodes of the show, follow us on our social media sites, and be sure to like and favorite this episode and click that subscribe button for more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Triple Threat. Goodbye!
I have one quick thing to
Sure.
say. We've been delaying this forever, but so when Polly dropped the tweet about, by the way, here's the new album, did anybody else think that because no, blah, I can't talk right now.
Do you think that do you think they went? She went behind their back?
No. Let me start this over, and you can pick it up from the recording.
You're doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I am editing this one.
Yee.
That'll go in the outtakes, folks.
Oh boy.
So, when Polly leaked the album on her Twitter, I was doing air quotes there. Apparently the record company got really mad at her because she shouldn't have leaked it before we were gonna blah, 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 announce it. Blah 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 blah. Really? You don't think she told?
You don't think this was the announcement?
Yeah, I think it was. I think they were just putting up a front about that and saying, I don't know. I just feel like they think we're a bit stupid for thinking that. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, it is kind of Floydian if you think about it. They just slip in an announcement somewhere.
Yeah.
Totally casually. Just like, yeah, so this is happening. Instead of making a big stink about it. Like, yeah, we're going to do this now.
Right. Played it like...
We're going to do on my birthday.
Rick is going to come back from the dead. And,
Yes. That sounds terrifying. Do it.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying. It's kind of like, and feel free to edit this out because this is going off topic a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, Becca, if you know that Radiohead announced In Rainbows 10 days before it came out.
Oh yeah, they announced King of Limbs like even less before it came out, I remember.
Yeah.
So I remember sitting on the bus riding home from school, and the kid turned to me and goes, "By the way, there's a new Radiohead coming out in like 2 days." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, they just do that.
Yeah.
I enjoy when bands do that because there's less of the waiting.
Of
Right.
course.
Like, hey, this is happening, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me!
So it could very much be a tribute.
Don't do
It
this to me! Ah!
See, this is where we need a video.
Oh man.
We do need video.
Your
We need to
face.
see me curled up in my dark side of the moon blanket screaming. Screaming about Rick Wright feelings. This is not something anyone would want to see. That is like a train wreck. You can't look away, really. It's horrifying, and I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Go on, please.
Yeah.
Because I've been holding it in since it's what we do.
Oh man.
I hope you guys haven't had to see me like just doing this. There's like a popcorn kernel stuck in my throat.
Oh.
You know when that happens and it's like stuck between like the little tonsil-y things and it's like digging in there? It's like every time you just like talk, it's like, ugh, everything hurts.
I know exactly what you mean. Ugh. It's disgusting.
My least favorite feeling, and that's been going on since like ebb and flow. I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. We've been troopers, man. Like, Tom's been holding it in since it's what we do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got my little.
Well, he's put away most of a water bottle in that time. Your tumbler. Oh, you got that sexy picture of Rick from '67 there. Further up. There he is. David with his hair.
Oh, yes! That were all over YouTube that I had so many, like, bookmarked.
Mm-hmm.
They're just all gone. Which, like, it was so unfortunate not having those janky foreign TV appearances at my disposal. Although watching all of those helped me really appreciate the joke, have you heard of a newer band called the Decemberists?
I have.
Yeah.
I have
They
one of
are
their.
good. They are very good, and I like them a lot.
I have their album, The Crane Wife.
That one is the very good one.
I really like.
Putting out something.
I've only heard "Don't Carry It All," but the only version I've heard was the one that Lindsey Sterling did, which is great. I liked it a lot more because it's faster than the original. I've only heard like a few seconds of the original.
Yeah, King is Dead is a pretty good album though. The album that's from. They're putting out something new, and the music video they made for the new single has Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec in it.
Oh, no way.
Basically, the premise of the music video, it's like it's set in the 70s, and it's a foreign TV show appearance for a rock group, like all of the French TV ones. You know the exact ones I'm talking about. It's essentially that. Like, Nick Offerman plays the silly foreign host, who's pretty much like the guy from the one Interstellar Overdrive and Astronomy Dominant Performance. Like, it's also terribly loud.
Oh, Hans
Just like
Keller.
that.
That son of a bitch.
And then, like, the song's called Make You Better, but, like, the joke is, like, and now here, the rock group The Decemberists performing their new hit music song, I Make You Butter.
I Make You Butter.
I Make You Butter. And then they show the band performing, and they show each member's name spelled wrong.
Oh, no.
Like, Colin Malloy becomes Colin Malloy, and so on and so forth. And it's funny enough as is, but then having, like, been a classic rock person for a long time and seen so many actual not joking videos like that, you're laughing even harder and longer at like little nuances, and it's just like, this actually happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I was really able to appreciate that.
Nice.
It's good.
What was the name of the actual song?
Make You Better.
Make You Better. All right, I'm gonna write that down because
It's a great song.
Make You Better. Okay, because I have the album, the Crane Wife, but I'll have to go back. To listen to it, obviously.
Yeah, the album doesn't drop till January 2015 for that, but a lot of the songs have been kind of put on the internet. They're putting them out little by little. Kind of like this in a way, except instead of 30-second samples, it's just literally the whole song.
The whole song.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, listen to it. We don't give a shit that you're gonna buy it.
Or you're gonna steal it. I don't care. Wanna?
We don't care.
Yeah.
Go play. Do what you're gonna do.
Do
See
what
us
you
on
wanna do.
tour.
Okay.
Do that.
All right.
That actually gets us money.
Okay.